Hi guys, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I thank you for giving me feedback about the content that's being discussed. Many of you said it's relatable. It is content that you are actually experiencing at the moment. So I also want to say thank you to those that have purchased my book, The Show Must Go On. If you want a copy of your book, you may visit my website, www.theshowmustgoonbook.co.za. I know a few of you purchased it as gifts to some of your friends that are struggling. And yeah, let's just share the message and let's try to make lupus known. Please note that the information shared on this platform is to share my experiences with lupus as a nurse and as an individual living with lupus. The information I share must not replace or alter instructions given to you by your healthcare provider. Guys, please like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, with your families. I know a lot of you are saying it makes life much easier because you don't have to explain anymore. You can just share the video and people, family members are really getting a better idea as to what we are struggling with lupus. So today's topic for discussion is lupus fatigue. Currently, I am experiencing lupus fatigue, and I can tell you it's absolutely debilitating. Lupus fatigue is a universal issue that many lupus patients struggle with. And that type of fatigue is an overwhelming sense of extraordinary tiredness, or exhaustion that is not relieved by rest or sleep. Fatigue is an integral part of living with lupus. Some of the words lupus patients use to describe their battle with fatigue are feeling sluggish, weakness, malaise. It is a feeling of being weary, which is more extreme than feeling tired. So we struggle with the smallest tasks. It can come on without any warning. It is not something that you have done or something that you haven't done that brings it on. Things that healthy people manage easily become challenging for us that are living with lupus. Healthy individuals can go to bed feeling tired and wake up feeling rested. However, we can't say the same because no amount of sleep makes us feel rested. There are three types of fatigue. There's emotional fatigue, feeling irritable and tearful. There's mental fatigue, where you lose concentration easily and there's a lack of motivation. And then there's physical fatigue, and I can explain this in the way that it's persisting flu-like symptoms where your entire body aches and your limbs start to feel heavy and you have difficulty mobilizing, and every move you make feels like an extra effort is required. The causes of fatigue are active disease with high levels of inflammation, changes in medication, which affects individuals differently because of the degree and depth of the pain we experience daily. Remember, we said that lupus is a very individualized disease, so no two people suffer the same way. Then there's muscle weakness, which prevents us from exercising, from mobilizing. And the mistake we make is that we sometimes have good days, and I know I'm guilty of this too. We have a good day, and a good day means that we are not exempt from pain on that day. It's just that the pain and the disease activity is minimal on that day, which enables us to do much more than we would on a bad day. So we tend to overdo things, and that one good day can cost us 3 bad days. We don't stop and rest in between. We don't plan properly and do the things we can do within reason. Stress, anxiety, huge contributors to fatigue, sleep disturbances, and insomnia. Prednisone. I'm sure many of you know about prednisone. It's the magic drug for us that struggle with the lupus. There's quick relief with prednisone, and patients on prednisone that are on regular prednisone It can act as a stimulant causing insomnia. Can also interrupt sleep patterns. So speak to your doctor about altering the dosage of your prednisone or changing the times that you can take it so that you're able to sleep well at night. Fatigue is the single most common and debilitating symptom reported by patients with SLE lupus. Some of the factors that are specific and associated with fatigue are inflammation. Anytime your body is experiencing excess inflammation, such as during a flare-up, during a lupus flare, you feel more tired. Anemia. This occurs when your red blood cell count gets low. This means that the amount of oxygen going to your organs will decrease. Your levels will decrease, and this will increase your level of fatigue. Infections. Since people living with lupus are sometimes on medication that suppress the immune system, they may be more likely to get infection. So your immunosuppressant drugs cause you to become susceptible to viruses and infections. And when infections happen, you are more likely to become fatigued. Insomnia. Not sleeping well is an obvious sign of fatigue. You might not be sleeping well for a variety of reasons, including side effects from medication or pain. Distractions from cell phones, tablets, and TVs can cause difficulty sleeping as well. Non-lupus factors. Non-lupus factors can be quite common as well, and what we do experience is thyroid disorders, where you have an underactive thyroid or an overactive thyroid, and this must be checked by having bloods drawn. So your doctor will discuss with you if you need medication and how to go about navigating life with thyroid disorders. There's another disorder that you can experience, and this is anemia. Anemia is yet another condition that affects many in the general population at large, but it is also commonly associated with lupus-related fatigue. Iron is responsible for carrying oxygen throughout the body. This will also impair your cognitive function as well. So when a patient is anemic, it is defined as an iron deficiency. A situation arises in which a patient's blood cells cannot carry enough oxygen. Then the body is forced to cope by drawing more oxygen through such means like yawning, increased feelings of fatigue. And when those with lupus experience this, they typically experience it as anemia of a chronic disease, in which patients develop anemia slowly, the result of the inflammation in the body. Coping with fatigue. Problem solving. Keep a notepad or a book. Prioritize. Grade the task according to how much energy it requires. If someone can help you, accept help. Pacing. This is important. To stop and go. To take breaks in between. Listen to your body. It has taken me a long time to grasp this concept. I was always a person who wanted to do everything at once, get everything done and then rest. But as the disease progressed, I realized that when I stop and take breaks in between, I'm able to complete the task, just not as quickly as others can. And that is absolutely okay. How do you explain to family and friends that you are fatigued? I think this is a challenge for most of us, right? I know I still battle with that. The biggest challenge is to let people know you're exhausted, because the first thing they say is, you look good. Even though it is a compliment, the patient doesn't feel that way inside of them. People with chronic fatigue don't want to tell their family they are so impacted by fatigue. They don't want to be seen as lazy or complaining and feel like a burden. So, you look fine means that you don't fit someone's vision of what a sick person looks like. It can be difficult for them to process that you are actually in a lot of physical and emotional pain. Usually, this manifests in comments like, "It's all in your head," or "You develop a reputation for being a complainer." The constant barrage of doubt from others can eventually erode your own belief in what you are experiencing. You start to ask yourself, what if this is just really all in my head? You might start to cross off things on your list to speak to your doctor about and ignore the symptoms that are persisting with regards to fatigue. You might stop going out as often to avoid having to explain this condition to others. And this has a negative impact on your social life. Lupus is very unpredictable. You can feel great one day and the worst you've ever felt the next day. Canceling plans in the last minute is one of the unfortunate realities of living with lupus. People with chronic fatigue don't want to tell people that they are feeling this way, because it's also much easier to say, "I'm fine," rather than explaining what's wrong. However, if you don't tell your family and friends that do care how you feel, they won't know and they can't help you. This is extremely important for family and friends of lupus warriors. When you tell them how you feel, they will understand why you opt out of certain activities and the need for rest in between. I am sure they will understand and give you allowance for that. Learning to say no, this is necessary. For example, you cannot attend an event all day. You can only cope for 4 hours. I know for my family, when I'm struggling with joint pain or muscle pains, I do go to places with them, but I will say to them, if it's a long walk to the entrance of a mall, for example, or a building, please leave me at the entrance of the building and then go find the parking. And my family is very courteous in that way. They will always ask me if I'm able to walk. On days that I'm able to walk, I do. The quality of sleep to reduce fatigue. Relax 1 hour, plus minus 1 hour before going to bed. Reduce your caffeine intake. Avoid alcohol in the evenings. If you do have pain, take an analgesia before bedtime. That's your pain medication as prescribed by your doctor. Some tips to improve your sleep. Create a therapeutic environment in accordance to what you're experiencing. If you are struggling to sleep, remove every bit of distraction. Make sure that your entire atmosphere is conducive to sleep and rest. Have a comfortable bed. Remove the disturbances like a clock that's ticking too loud or a spouse that's snoring too loud. Try to develop a routine by taking shorter naps in the day to be able to be tired enough to sleep well in the night. Eat a healthy, balanced diet to help cope with fatigue. Eat regular meals. Avoid processed foods, excess sugar, excess alcohol, and gluten to reduce inflammation. Keep hydrated. Drink plenty of water. Try to avoid your sugary drinks. That will keep you awake. And please remember, if you are listening and you have lupus, remember this: you don't have to do everything a healthy person does. We are not obligated to hide our illness to make other people feel comfortable. We are not obligated to explain why we're unable to do the things that healthy people can do. We don't have to answer to people who are hell-bent in misunderstanding the battle we face daily. We are allowed to know our limits. We are allowed to have bad days. We are allowed to stay in bed if we cannot get up because we are too sick from lupus, because we've picked up an infection, we are extremely ill, we're having a lupus flare. It is okay to rest. And I know there's some days all we can handle is just getting up to use the bathroom and getting back into bed. It is not your fault if people leave you because you have lupus. It is not our fault that we have this illness, and we don't have to apologize for it. It is something that is out of our control. All we have to do, you and I, is to find the fortitude, the strength to live and thrive beyond lupus. I hope that this content has been helpful to you today, that if you're struggling with lupus fatigue, these are some of the tips that you can use in your daily life, and it will help you like it helps me to get through the day. And like I said, it's never, a straight line. It's never linear with lupus. It's not something we experience every day. Sometimes it can last for days and weeks on end, but these are some of the ways that we can navigate around it. So guys, thank you again for joining me. Until next time, remember, the show must go on. Keep the faith. Love you guys.